Hello everyone. Today we shall look into the topic Emergence of Cultural Studies. Made easy just for you. So to know about cultural studies much better, we shall look into Chris Baker and what he says about cultural studies in his work The Sage Dictionary of Cultural Studies. He says that cultural studies is an interdisciplinary field. What does it mean? It is the combination of two or more academic disciplines into one particular activity. Okay, so it is relating to more than one branch of knowledge. What it does is it explores the production and inculcation of culture. Okay, and he calls that as a language game because there is no referent to mean what is cultural studies and is constituted by several ways of speaking. You cannot say this particular definition is the meaning of cultural studies, and you cannot show this is what cultural studies is. Okay, so it is constituted by several ways of speaking, and he says that cultural studies is a combination of discursive formation. So what it is? It is the group of ideas, images and practices that is being talked on a particular topic. Okay, when you are talking about a particular topic, when you are talking something, then it is known as discursive formation. For example, we shall take the discourse of science. Definitely, there are different formative ideas in the stream of science. They can talk about neutrons. They can talk about the Big Bang theory. All those different aspects constitute the stream of science. For example, we shall take the religion. Okay, of course, they would have their own practices, they would have their own images, and they would have a different perspective that is totally different from that of science stream. Okay, so it is constituted by regulated way of speaking. So note, this is much important. Discursive formation is you are talking about something, but when it is in a regulated way, it has to be governed by certain rules, it has to be governed by certain theories, then only it would come under the stream of cultural studies. Okay, so it is important to note that cultural studies is subjective in nature. Okay, why it is subjective? It would include all those historical perspectives, it would all include all the social content, and it would include all the personal narratives. You know that in cultural studies the meaning is constructed. Okay, so there is no place for objectivity in cultural studies. So, with all this, we shall move to one of the important practitioner of cultural studies, that is none other than Stuart Hall. So, we shall see what Stuart Hall speaks in his essay, Cultural Studies, Two Paradigms. Okay, this is his important essay, and in this he talks about three important scholars like Raymond Williams, Richard Hoggart, and E.P. Thompson. Like he would be talking about their works. Okay, so Raymond Williams, Culture and Society, Richard Hoggart's Uses of Literacy, E.P. Thompson's Making of the English Working Class. Why these are all important? Because they created a break from all those culturalism, materialism, and materialism which include those institutional rights. Okay, so that these are much important because they were the basic foundation of this particular field. Okay, you often would have come across the term culture. So what is culture in this particular stream? Of course, I have my own definition, you will have your own definition about culture. So actually, what is culture in cultural studies? That is what we are gonna listen. Culture is ordinary, which means there is no any distinction. This is high culture, this is low culture. Okay, culture is just ordinary. Next, culture is a way of life. What it means? It would discuss about the everyday aspects of our life. So that is, culture is way of life. Culture is democratized. Culture is a meaning creation process. Okay, so one group will have a certain meaning for a particular thing. The other group will generate some other meaning for the same thing. So that is why it is known as meaning creation. So what are they? Culture is ordinary. Culture is a way of life. Culture is democratized. Culture is a meaning creation process. Okay. What are the goals of cultural studies? Number 1, ideas. Number 2, practices. For example, keep it this way. I want to study the culture of Aboriginal Australians. Then I would look into the ideas and I would look into the pattern of practices. For example, let it be the 17th century. Then I would look into the ideas that they followed during that period and the pattern of practices that they followed during that particular period. I told you that cultural studies is an interdisciplinary field of study. So in what way interdisciplinary? Of course, there are some other branches of knowledge that influences cultural studies. In that way, there are four major core areas. Okay, so they are anthropology, sociology, literary theory, Marxism. Okay, these are the four. There are also many other things like ideology which can also be included that influences. But these are the four major areas that influences cultural studies. Now I will let you know some of the important notes that are really important and you have to keep in mind before your exams. Okay, so they are: culture is not a given. It is constructed and it can be studied systematically. And it is not absolute or static, so it keeps on changing. That is why it is known as dynamic. There are reasons and forces behind the cultural changes. It may be political, economy or social changes. Okay, so there are several reasons for the cultural changes. Now we shall have some MCQs to boost your mind as usual. Have a look at this slide and guess the answers. Keywords of the authors are much important for your exam point of view. And so the answers are: Raymond Williams has written the work Culture and Society, Matthew Arnold's work Culture and Anarchy, Richard Hoggart's work Uses of Literacy. Thank you.